Hello everyone, Buzzkiller here, and welcome back to some more Space Engineers. Now, as you can probably tell by the improved audio quality, I am back home, and it has been a long 3-week trip, but it is good to be back. So last week, while I was away, I built an 890 jump in Space Engineers, and I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing it, so much so that I've been constantly working on it and improving it. So I just wanted to show you guys some of the things I've done with the ship and show you one of the ships that I've built just this past weekend. So I downloaded a few mods to help decorate the ship, and I pretty much gutted the interior and built it back up using those mods. The outside I haven't done a whole lot to. I added some nav lights, which I'll show you here in a minute, and I've made some improvements to some of the functions of the ship, such as the hangar doors, alarms, all kinds of cool stuff. So let me go ahead and go inside here. And you can already see some of the things I've done. You see those benches and the plants. That's all from mods. Now I've turned off DirectX 11. And the reason being that a lot of these mods are not supported in DirectX 11. They come out pretty ugly. Let's start off in the cockpit. So as I come up, if you saw the previous video, the first thing you'll notice is I've done a lot of work in here, just moving stuff around. The seats are pretty much in the same area, but I've added a bunch of button panels, added these screens, and I've added this little sort of bridge barrier here. So it gives it more of a look from the original ship, because in the actual ship the windows are not full length like this. They don't go from floor to ceiling. They're only half of that length. And since I can't do that in Space Engineers, I figured I'd put that little barrier up, and it kind of looks like the half windows, so I think it came out pretty well. Now I've got a bunch of different functions going on here. This is my lighting and alarm panel. I also have a little hangar door button here. But I've added, that's another thing, look at the lights. I've got these lights are actually part of the mod, one of the mods I downloaded. And I did upload this ship with all the mods as a separate ship. So this is the 890 Jump version 2. If you go onto the Steam Workshop, you can download it there and check it out yourself. You just have to pick up a few mods. Now the ship will work without the mods. It just will be fairly Spartan. But you've got your main lights there. That's my primary illumination, and I've used these lights as sort of red alert lights. So I'll go ahead and set off the red alert alarm here. I'll go ahead and turn off the interior lights first because it looks cool. Red alert. And that'll play for about 10 seconds. But throughout the entire ship, I've put these red lights in. I just think that this looks pretty damn cool. Now on this side I have controls for all the doors. This allows me to open and close the exterior doors and the interior doors separately. And these are all power panels. So I've got my power on panel, my power off panel. And what I can do is I can turn main power off. That kills my primary reactors but keeps my backup on, allowing me to keep lights and stuff on. Turn off my thrusters, turn off my gyros, and if need be turn off gravity. Now my station here that I'm working on does have gravity, so I really don't need to have those running all the time. And really this isn't survival mode, so it doesn't really matter if they're running all the time because it doesn't require any fuel. But if you were to outfit this ship for survival, which would take a little bit of a doing, but if you were to do it, you could use those panels to reduce your power draw when you're not using it. Let's go ahead and power everything up. Main power on, thrusters on, gyros on, gravity on. And you can actually hear everything start coming to life. Now before I take the ship, I'm going to actually take the ship for a little flight. here in a little bit to show you exactly how it runs. And it does really well. But before we do that, let's check out some of the improvements we've made to the interior. Before I start with the rooms, let's go into the kitchen, or the galley. As you can see, I've done a lot of work in here. The tables, the coffee machine, I've changed some of the colors. I got rid of the brown because it really doesn't look like wood and it was just ugly, so I switched the brown to blue. Got my little kitchen area here with refrigerators, stove, sinks. And this is still the crew quarters. It's got lockers on this side, and these are actually bunk beds on this side. And if you go in, like I said, if you go into the Steam Workshop, I'll have a list showing you exactly which mods you need to download to use the ship properly. I relocated the gravity generator to in here, and I inverted the gravity output so that it's not in the way up on the bridge. And you may also notice that I only have one stairway up into the bridge instead of two, which is more in keeping with the actual ship. Alright, moving along. Up on top, of course, we have the master bedroom. And I've actually done a few changes in here. I've added some side rooms. I've got the bathroom in. Why is there a pool table in my bathroom? Well, something must not have translated right. That's odd. But I have working shower. Well, sort of working. You can open the door and close it. There's no water, but... sink. And a little toilet. And this is where the pool table should have been, and it still is. I don't know how that one got over there. It must have been when I moved the save file from my laptop to here. Something must have gotten lost in translation. I love this TV set. It comes with a bunch of different scenes. Of course, you can see there's the little scene from Alien. And up top, another TV. Star Wars, The Engineer Strikes Back. And a nice bed, dressers. Looks pretty good. And I also replaced the railing, so this is also a mod. Gets rid of that stock railing that was really blocking a whole lot of view. Now on the second level, this was, if you recall, the elevator room to get into the ship. I can't really put that in, so I changed it into a little recreation room. Ping pong tables, weight sets, even a few video game consoles. Pretty cool. And off to the side here we have, well, you remember this used to be a pretty big area. I've condensed it down and used that space to add to the master bedroom. But this is the door out onto the engines. There's one of the nav lights. I'll show you those again here in a minute when we get ready to go for a flight. And here's the guest bedrooms and my sort of engine room. Not much changed in here. But I have outfitted all the bedrooms. Some different scenes on the TVs. Just some subtle variations. All the furniture is in the same orientation. Alright. Oh yes, and still got the cryopods here acting as escape pods. And I've spruced up this bathroom as well. Alright, so let's move to the hangar. Well, via the power room. Again, not much changes in here. Just switched out the lighting. Improved it a bit. And here's the hangar bay. I've got button consoles all over in here for controlling the hangars. Different systems. You've got the hangar door itself, lighting, and it's got its own special alarm. So if I swap the lights over, I get a sort of little yellow alert here. Hangar airlock is to close all the doors. And the hangar goes, and the hangar extends. And again, that plays for about 10 seconds. Actually looks pretty cool from the outside. I'll show you that when we take the flight. And of course, at the front we have the battle bridge again. I swapped out the lighting to standard lighting again. You can put it in red alert mode, and it looks pretty cool in here with the red lights. I still have the medical room. I've got some button panels I haven't plugged in yet, and another a different bunk by a different modder. Alright. Well, let me go ahead and head up to the bridge. I'll take her for a little spin. Again, this ship is not set up for survival mode. I suppose if you had the time and took the effort, you could take the ship and bring it up to survival standards, but I really am not interested in doing that for this ship. It's not very practical. Let's go ahead and get in here. Let's go to an external view. Down here I have control of a lot of different systems on this main seat. I've got all my engine controls and power controls just like before. And then here's the nav lights. Green on the left, red on the right, and I've even got some strobe lights here and there. There they go. See them going off. I've got some on the bottom. Let me go ahead and take off, I guess. Disable the landing gear. She's a little slow in the up, down, left, right axis, but she's got some pretty good acceleration with those 5 massive engines in the back. Alright, here goes. Best possible speed. Well, I'm not going to get up to full speed, but just to show you, it does move out pretty well for a big ship. And it maneuvers fairly well as well. As well. There you go. I also have control over the red alerts, the doors, and the hangar. So here's the hangar from the exterior. Watch this. I did increase the speed of the hangar door, so it moves it about twice the speed as it did before, which still looks pretty good. Of course, on the landing pad are the 285Xs. I showed you those in a previous video. But there you go. There's my updated 890 jump. So another thing I've been working on is, I was thinking about working on that Constellation, getting it back up, getting it up to a higher standard. But they're about to release an update to the Constellation, and I didn't want to do it until that release was released. So instead I just built the snub fighter for it. Let me go ahead and jump out real quick and we'll go check that out. So of course there's the 85X, and here is the Merlin that I've been working on. Now I've kind of modeled it. They had those pictures on the leak of the updated Merlin. So I kind of based it more on the updated version with the 2 big engines instead of the 6 or 8 small ones in the back. And it flies fairly well. I put 3 autocannons on it, no missiles. Autocannon's actually partially obscured there, but it still fires through without causing any damage. And it flies fairly well. Let's power her up. There we go. This thing takes off like a bat out of hell. Really flies nice. Guns going. And it does have landing gear on the top and bottom. So, here's my Constellation. Again, this thing is pretty old and it's not very well done. I'll redo it eventually in the future, but here's the Merlin actually docked onto the Constellation. And what the hell, I'll go ahead and give you a quick tour of the Constellation as well. Even though it is really not my best work. This was my first attempt at a Star Citizen ship. So of course this is the cargo hold. And that's my, well, it's cargo, but it also doubles as a warp drive, and I'll show you that here in a minute. With some power plants. Of course in the back, there's my gyros. Entrance into the P-52. So I guess this would be an Andromeda, since it's the base model. I don't have any bunk beds in here because I didn't have the bunk beds when I built it. But I'll pretty this all up and make it look really, really nice once they've released the new model of the ship. I have turrets on it. Well, I had turrets on it, but I had to build them as separate ships and actually dock them to the exterior. It causes a lot of issues. The ship bounces around quite a bit, but you can actually see from the outside that's one of my turret pedestals, and that actually does spin. One on top and one on the bottom. Now this ship's a bit heavy for the engines it's got. It's got all small engines. It doesn't have any large ones. See, I need to work on the shape of the nacelles. That's probably one of the main things I change. Try to improve some of the detail on the exterior. Let's go ahead and take her out for a spin as well. Alright. Now this ship is pretty slow, as I said. It only has the small engines available. The 890 jump really outclasses this thing in acceleration. So I built the Space Engineer's equivalent of a warp drive for it, which is a gravity drive, using the cargo area there as the artificial mass and a gravity generator. So I'll go ahead and disable the main gravity and enable this warp drive and turn off inertial dampeners. As you can see, we're accelerating much faster. The cargo's not perfectly centered, so it does pull up a little bit as you're flying, but it's easily compensated for. Go ahead and turn that off. Bring her about. What's going on here? I'm having all kinds of issues. Did I hit something? Well, something exploded. Oh well. Oh, there goes my missiles. Oh, okay. I forgot to turn the inertial dampeners back on, so we're still moving pretty fast. I must have hit an asteroid or something. But anyway, there's the Constellation, the update of the 890 jump. I've shown you the Merlin. And you got a brief glimpse of the 85X, but I showed you that one pretty much in depth. Well, as in depth as you can get in the small ships on that one. But I'm going to continue working on Space Engineers, at least until the FPS module comes out. So if you're interested in seeing another ship, a Star Citizen ship, in Space Engineers, go ahead and post in the comments below, and I'll take a look at your suggestions, and I'll pick one I think I can get done. These ships, to get in full detail, takes me about, the large ships probably about a week. The smaller ships take me about 2 to 3 days. So go ahead and, as I said, go ahead and post in the comments below if you have a ship you really want to see in Space Engineers, and I'll do my best to deliver it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like or subscribe button, and until next time, this has been Buzzkiller, and I'll see you guys in the verse.